Welcome everyone to our fifth annual conference of Romanian American professionals. For those of you joining us for the first time, my name is Teodor, the founding president of the Immigration Research Forum, established in Washington, D.C. Since 2019. As you might know, the purposes of the IRF are research, educational, and civic action focused, devoted to fostering an in-depth understanding of the factors which promote the successful integration and upward social mobility of immigrants within our nation of nations. The IRF is exclusively sustained through your tax-deductible donations and does not endorse any political or ideological inclinations. While we partner and endorse specific public and private sector implemented projects serving our diaspora communities, the views and opinions expressed during this event are those of the speakers and the institutions they represent. The aim of our annual conference is to bring together diaspora professionals from different research and professional fields and to highlight the efforts and achievements of these remarkable diaspora role models. This annual event affirms our shared cultural identity and affinity as Romanian Americans, and the invited speakers are selected from the recommendations received through our 5 nationwide field-specific councils designed to assist our diverse communities of practice in mapping out available current expertise and evolving needs. These councils act as focus groups in identifying resources, capacities, best practice models, and innovative programs, selecting outstanding diaspora leaders to be assumed and celebrated as we will today and tomorrow. We will highlight the interventions and projects designed to create institutional ties between U.S. and Romanian-based institutions to assist in resource or expertise sharing that benefits the next generation of talented individuals as well as the vulnerable or marginalized groups we identify. We ask that you consider joining our interdisciplinary councils and become part of the working groups brainstorming common support strategy for those vulnerable amongst us, or to serve as mentor in promoting the true potential of the best and brightest in our midst. I would like to take this opportunity to reflect on the past 5 years and recall our first conference hosted at the University Club in Washington, D.C. in 2019. One of the palpable outcomes of that inaugural event was a proposal for an independent evaluation and mapping of Romanian American community-based organizations in order to assess the possibility of joint organizational capacity building and adaptive resilience of our diaspora in addressing its own evolving challenges and needs. That attempt to map organizational capacity was predicated on the belief that all collaborating entities or regional geographic reach or sectional topic-centric focus networks would benefit from the sharing of expertise, joint trainings, and the ability to respond with coherence, with common operating methods and possible common strategies, especially in crisis situations. We called on participants at that conference in 2019 to help us build trust among a network of community-based organizations. 5 years later, we now have the Federation of Romanian American Organizations, an entity that already proved effective during the pandemic, during the Ukrainian refugee crisis, and the ensuing environment of economic and geopolitical, regional, and systemic instability. I've served over the past years as a founding member in various capacities, and I'm honored to serve now and in 2024 as the elected president of FORA. I trust that all the 27 member and affiliate community-based diaspora organizations that make up our network will continue to work towards consolidating our ability to effectively speak with a single voice and build a more resilient diaspora community. Such a national entity is vital, especially in situations of crisis. It bridges communication divides between public and private sector actors and can be effective channeling targeted interventions to trusted grassroots non-government organizations and people with proven expertise. If you wonder what that kind of intervention looks like, I invite you to check the presentation given, for example, by Dr. Horia Vulpe during last year's conference, and to support the Blue Heron Foundation's cancer care program in Moldova and Romania, as they provide medical assistance to Ukrainian refugees and IDPs that receive critical specialized medical assistance as cancer patients crossing the border. So it's only a private sector, private partnership like this that can work across borders and help people where they are. This is one of the examples of critical immediate response interventions across borders that the diaspora organization with medical boots on the ground can implement when state institutions are not necessarily able or mandated to act. You will hear later today Mrs. Stefania Magicin, one of IRAP's advisory council members and the president of Blue Heron Foundation, on their work for over 21 years, benefiting through scholarships marginalized youth, the future leaders and current volunteers on the ground in Romania and the Republic of Moldova. Whatever the future brings, this network of mentored individuals will be the likely first responders assisting with whatever challenges Romanian and Moldovan communities need to cope with. The time to organize and prepare for natural or man-made disasters is now by investing your time and your resources in talented individuals who will be ready to act. So I invite you to join us as mentors and to join the Blue Heron Foundation in their mentorship programs. There are opportunities for you to serve. You may also review last year's featured organization, the Refugee Protection International's work in Ukraine and their coordinated evacuations to Romania, or the offer of Romanian diaspora professionals at the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, to assist pediatric Romanian oncology, in particular the work of Give Life Association Asociația de Trăiește Viața in Bucharest. So this kind of transatlantic civil society-driven institutional partnerships will be the means to which we as a diaspora may be an effective asset in societal resilience, both here and abroad. 5 years ago, when we started all this, the keynote speaker was our advisory council member, the highly esteemed Romanian historian and at the time Georgetown University professor Denis Deletant. His speech at the time was centered on Romania's legacy of distorted political socializations and values, as evidenced in his published study at the time, Romania and the Communist Paradox and Degeneration. He outlined precise historical circumstances for the learned behavior of social atomization and alienation that still had a ripple effect plaguing the formation of strong civic associative platforms. His message at the time was on point, discussing the repressive nature of the totalitarian communist era experiment. He touched then on the evisceration of the pre-communist progressive intelligentsia and its discreditation through far-right affiliation. He pointed to the scale of unrelenting collectivization, the resistance and imprisonment of 80,000 peasants, and the uprooting of whole communities through massive relocation of people, the systematization of villages. Professor Deletant reminded us at that time of the dismantlement of another pillar of social cohesion, the suppression of minority religious confessions, and the conversion of the dominant Orthodox Church institution into an extension of the repressive regime's information gathering apparatus, all of which robbed society of its trust in institutions beyond the family and other restrictive personal networks. The intent inculcation of fear and suspicion of the other during communism, combined with complete control over access to and manipulation of information, allowed the sanitizing and delaying of information on dissent to the point of irrelevance. Those effective tools in containing social unrest and inculcating a sense of isolation for the individual were not just targeted repressive regime measures. They became pervasive, a paradigm permeating all formal and informal means of socialization. It forced individuals to develop duplicity as a coping strategy, one of ingenuine social association and institutionalization of dissimulation. Professor Deletant concluded his lecture at our conference in 2019 by saying, and I quote him now, "It is my view that the legacy of that experience impacts to a certain degree attitudes displayed today both by Romanians in the motherland and those outside. By recognizing this fact, initiatives to address it can only be to the benefit individually and collectively of Romanians everywhere, including those in the diaspora here in the United States." End of quote. I personally believe that we have come a long way in healing that inculcated aversion to trust, and we are consciously relearning instinctive behavioral patterns of solidarity and of affirming our unique cultural identity, appreciating the value added to the Euro-Atlantic family of nations. I had asked Professor Deletant to reflect on the journey of these past 5 years and on his personal journey of living here in Washington, D.C. in our community for the past 12 years. He and his wife, Andreea Caracosta Deletant, both are valued advisors to IRF and personal friends. And have permanently returned to their home in London this past week, a relocation that has been emotionally and physically draining for both. Professor Deletant is unable to be our keynote speaker today as he's recovering. We wish them a speedy recovery, and should they be listening to our gathering virtually today, we are extending our gratitude and appreciation for their guidance and support through the years. They may no longer be physically part of our American diaspora community, but they remain in our hearts, and we hope to live up to their expectations about healing the wounds of a tormented past and building stronger and more inclusive, trust-based communities for a safer future. The silver lining of the pandemic experience and the Ukrainian refugee crisis in these ensuing years has been the structuring of a tangible communication and solidarity network both in diaspora fundraising for rapid response interventions and the intangible building of trust among diaspora civil society actors. I invite you all to review our marathon fundraising within days of the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the challenging of concerted, the channeling of all of our efforts at the time through Fora and through RUF financial platform in fundraising over $212, I believe, $1,000 for Ukrainian refugee assistance in Romania, a national diaspora effort that I think was predicated on trust and solidarity and a model for the future. This learning process we experienced as a national diaspora of engaged professionals should be seen as an asset in consolidating societal resilience. We all hail from a challenging region and live in a time of rapid transformations that may impact public and political attitudes towards mobility and transnational career opportunities. So we must press on and help consolidate and institutionalize true brain change between our native and adoptive countries. We see the current push to include Romania in the US visa waiver program as a historic opportunity for our diaspora community-based organizations and professionals networks to show solidarity, conduct sensitization and awareness exercises, and most importantly, help Romanian and Moldovan universities, for that matter, and research institutes internationalize by seeking partnerships with American peer institutions, by leveraging the presence of accomplished diaspora professionals such as yourselves established in the United States. Our keynote speaker this year is Chief Commissioner Valentin Bătăjelu, State Councillor in the Romanian Prime Minister's Chancellery. He is the national coordinator for Romania's accession to the US visa waiver program, and will join us from Bucharest, we hope, where he's currently, and where I'm sure it's late in the evening. We invited him because we believe that the immediate goal of this conference should be to launch a concerted effort that engages all diaspora stakeholders interested in seeing Romania does basically the impossible and complies with all requirements for accession within the next 10 months. You may or may not know that the most difficult hurdle for this to happen is to have the visa denial rate of under 3%. Rather than focusing on reducing the number of Romanian applicants being denied visas, we seek to a complementary path that of encouraging a high number of established liberal arts professionals and STEM researchers in Romania to apply for short-term visas in the next 10 months, thereby increasing the number of successful applications and implicitly reducing the denial rate. How can you personally help? We want you to encourage all your former collaborators in Romania who had in the past visited the US to renew their visas. In fact, we want them to come here and do more than visit you as tourists. We want them to visit US universities and research institutions where you work. We want them to come and seek to establish twinning academic partnerships with an eye towards transatlantic research and development. You will hear a more detailed, informative presentation with legal updates from immigration attorney Dana Bucin, Marta Colina, our honorary consul of Romania to Connecticut later in today's program. As a federation of Romanian American organizations, and as president of its executive board, I take this to be our mandate for coming months. Through IRF and Fora, we will seek to work towards engaging with peer organizations in EU member states to inform and sensitize their constituencies that applying in third country of residence for US visas is automatically of negative consequence to their chances, and that by flying and applying in Bucharest for US visas automatically increases the likelihood of a positive outcome, as any consular officer will see that they are vested in Romania. We are vested in this effort because in the future we will want our extended families and friends to enjoy easy and speedy mobility and be part of our family's major life events in the United States. This is an opportunity to work together in public-private partnerships towards a shared vision, just as we did some 25 years ago when at the time CORA, the Congress of Romanian Americans, led by the late Arman Scala, sought to support Romania's bid for NATO membership and pushed for the strategic special partnerships between the two countries. I bring up that past experience in public diplomacy involvement of the diaspora because we built on that positive legacy of a shared strategic vision, enjoying the support of the Romanian embassy in our efforts. For the first time, the Embassy of Romania hosted at the residency of the ambassador the first in-person annual meeting of Fora, the Federation, to which the honorary consuls of Romania accredited to the United States were invited to participate and to join our federation. The Embassy of Romania is proud to engage these organizations and work together with us as we learn to speak with one voice for the interests and well-being of all our members. And as we expand the organization by having more associations and why not honorary consuls join the network. We would like to express our gratitude to the entire embassy team for their professionalism and unconditional support, and especially to His Excellency Ambassador Andrei Muraru for graciously hosting us at his residence. Every year, the opening address of our IRF conference is offered by the Ambassador of Romania to the United States, who is usually here in Washington, D.C. This year, however, His Excellency Ambassador Muraru is traveling between Mississippi and the state of Tennessee as part of his signature 50 States, One Community tour. He has discovered many vibrant communities in the over 21 states that he has visited so far, and aims to be leveraging that Romanian community's acumen for connections and explore the cooperation between Romania and the different American states. We are all indebted to Ambassador Muraru for making this tour a priority of his mandate, despite the tidal wave of responsibilities he must have here in DC. As you might know, Ambassador Muraru is a historian in his other academic life, and so in our conversations, I pointed to him the historic precedence of this diaspora tour that he engages in. A little over 100 years ago, and I'm not sure that many people know, in 1922, Prince Anton Pipescu, the Minister of Romanian Legation in Washington, launched a first study to document Romania's presence in the United States. Prince Pipescu was tasked with the study precisely because Romanian American lobby, together with the concerted lobby of the Czech, Polish, Ukrainian, Lithuanian, Yugoslav, and Jewish peoples had been pivotal in the 1918 push towards swaying the U.S. Congress and the Woodrow Wilson administration in supporting the democratic self-determination of the Central European nation states at the end of World War I. That study by Prince Bibescu preceded a substantial return migration of Romanians to the then freshly enlarged Greater Romania. It is a chapter of our transatlantic history of public diplomacy that should be cherished and remembered. The only other such instance of such engagement with the diaspora has been the one I mentioned 25 years ago, that established a strategic partnership between the United States and Romania, and a public-private sector effort at the time for the country to join NATO and find its harbor in the Euro-Atlantic family of shared democratic values. So it is unfortunate that Mr. Ambassador Muraru is unable to join us live this year, but we applaud his steadfast commitment to seeing through the tour of the 50 states. Instead, this year we have the honor to have our conference formally open with the address by His Excellency Viorel Ursu, Ambassador of the Republic of Moldova to the United States.